Hope you all had a wonderful New Year's and welcome to 2025. As much as I would like to be positive for the games industry, I think 2025 is on track to be potentially one of the worst years for the games industry. Now, as you all know, a lot of the games that got put into production a number of years ago, putting in a lot of ideology or themes that consumers are very clearly not a fan of, are coming to fruition. So, start out with I'm Mojiro, been a game developer for a bit over 15 years. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I hope all of you are having a wonderful New Year's. So, getting right into it, there is a chance that we're going to see potentially some of the worst layoffs we've seen in the past few years, which is a little over. Some estimates put it at just 20,000. Some others put it at 25,000. But I think we're potentially going to see a tremendous number from one company, which is our good friends over at, oops, my bad, Ubisoft. Ubisoft currently employs 19,000 people. And if we take an average of, like, let's say 100K per person, that ends up being $1.9 billion in that headcount by itself. Assassin's Creed Shadows looks better, given the fact that they added more time to develop the game. But will the minor improvements actually equate to more sales? I actually do not believe so. I think you will see some people that are just getting into the game. But in general, a lot of the attention to detail that we would have seen from older Assassin's Creed games, it just doesn't exist in this game. There's a couple that it's a gentleman and his Japanese wife that like do reviews of the actual world, and pretty much every video just has them having scathing reviews on just the entirety of the environment, saying these things should not be here, these things are Chinese, not Japanese, these things do not exist in this period. It is pretty consistently considered a pretty poorly made games in terms of what one would normally expect from the Assassin's Creed series. Now, maybe we're wrong, maybe it'll actually sell decently, but this is one of the biggest things that Ubisoft, like, they've put a lot of money into this so far. They have ruined a lot of their goodwill in insulting people in Japan over this. And this should have been a slam dunk until they decided they wanted to throw Yasuke in there, which is the first time they've made a main playable character a real person. And of course, they made that person a black man because 2020 hit, George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, and they said, you know, it's going to be really great for representing the black community, having an African-American, an African murder a bunch of Japanese people in Japan. It's one of the dumbest things that they could have done. They thought they were really smart and proud of it. But yeah, I do not see this game making $1.9 billion. They spent around that much last year, I would estimate, just in those rough estimates, in keeping the lights on, and it was flop after flop out of Ubisoft. Even if Tencent ends up acquiring Ubisoft next year, I would imagine they could get rid of easily half the staff at Ubisoft, and you would have no difference in terms of the quality that would come out. Actually, I think it would be better because you would be getting rid of a lot of people that just, they don't do anything. I imagine easily half the people that are on the roster over at Ubisoft are people that are not individual contributors that are actually getting content into games, but rather various middle managers to accommodate the absurdly bloated studio size. Now, I did look over, there's a place that goes over game industry layoffs. They estimate in 2023, 10,500, and over in 2024, they estimate 14,600. There are studios in here that, there are studios that are not in here, particularly in the mobile game space, because that is a extremely volatile space where you end up, like, you can have a studio pop up with like 50 people, and then 6 months later, you get it out in like the Philippines. The numbers don't, uh, you don't see the numbers that you need to actually apply marketing spend to it, and they just, shut the game down. So a lot of these are going to be very, uh, they're rough estimates, but I would generally consider like these numbers where they're estimating like, up to 14,000. I could easily see that happening just in the volume of small studios that pop up with some kind of investor money, especially in Silicon Valley, where a lot of mobile games are really, that's a driver for a lot of places there. And those studios just popping same year. It's been going on for years. Another thing that I assume we'll see in 2025 is fair games. Maybe we won't. Maybe, like, I think everyone's kind of agreed that this is going to be kind of a joke of a release. It is Sony's next live service game. They announced it a few years back. They've been talking a little bit more about it. It currently does not have a release date, but I don't think even if they push off a year or two, I'm not sure if this is going to succeed. I think in general, the public has made it very clear that they do not like a lot of these live service games. These live service games are generally made to be a live service game first instead of a good game first. Sony had one really great success with Helldivers 2, and then they threw a lot of that goodwill into the toilet as soon as they decided to say that if you wanted to play any Sony game, now you suddenly had to get a PSN account. I still will not buy anything Sony until they reverse that. And I genuinely want everything that Sony comes out with to fail until we see PlayStation San Francisco, that office there in California. I want that place to be shut down. The amount of bad decisions and censorship that has come out of having that location is intolerable. I would love to see all those individuals added to the list of layoffs for 2025. It's probably a bit optimistic, but another big thing that is not related to the games industry, but I have kept my eyes on since I've learned about it, that you guys should probably be familiar with, is an individual that is named Harmeet Dillon. She has been nominated to the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. She is a conservative lawyer who has made it very clear that she is going to be going after companies that are peddling in DEI. There's a fantastic thread here. I'm going to post this. There's a video attached to this that I think you guys, if you're interested in looking at, you should look at. I'm just going to read a little bit of the transcript here. Dillon is brilliant, talking about DEI. Dillon is brilliant, and she's exactly the opposite of that. Every signal is being sent that they're going to do a 180 on all these things, and they're going to begin prosecuting companies for violation of civil rights laws in the form of reverse discrimination. Discrimination against white people, Asians, Jews, and other unprotected classes. So signals are being sent by these appointments that there will be an assault to reverse the assault that companies and universities have been under. And then, of course, the Supreme Court ruled not long ago that private universities are not allowed to do race-based admissions. I think every major corporation in the country is just in flagrant violation of actual civil rights law. You cannot have these hard quotas and racially, ethnically, and religiously based hiring practices. It's flat out illegal. These companies have gone so extreme that they've ended up in what I think is clearly mass illegality. So as Dillon steps into her job, she won't lack a shortage of targets. If you don't want to be a target, it's great. Get out of jail free card to voluntarily shut all this stuff down. We're already seeing it. Boeing and a bunch of other companies have already put a bullet in their programs. Even the University of Michigan, which went completely overboard with this stuff, has shut the whole thing down. Now, DEI has been a big issue in the games industry for a while now. And there's been a huge consolidation where Microsoft has picked up a large number of studios. You have Sony with its own studios, and these are very big targets. I think Microsoft is like, I think we'll see probably action towards Microsoft and a lot of other tech companies. IBM is a pretty big offender. We had a lot of conversation that's still going on around H-1B visa violations, which has led to talking about other forms of discrimination and other visa abuses through other programs that where companies are getting sued even by the liberal or like Department of Justices, where they're saying this is discriminatory, and these companies are settling for tens of millions of dollars. I would hope that the new Civil Rights Division with the new administration coming in tackles a lot of these issues. I imagine some companies that have seen a lot of bad business, lowering of stock price over time, will voluntarily get rid of some. Though, for some of these companies that have done voluntarily saying we're getting rid of DEI departments, a lot of them have not actually done that. It's just been words. I think one of the worst offenders that I saw was Harley Davidson. They went out and announced we're getting rid of our DEI programs, and then they still had their director of DEI. As some of you that have been following Kersha, which is a lovely Fox lady that's on YouTube, and I think she's on Twitch as well. She goes over a lot of DEI in these companies and the push for Bridge, which is supposed to be like the next level, more insidious version of DEI. So I have high hopes for that going forward, to getting a lot of that discrimination out of hiring and companies in 2025 in general. And I imagine we will see a lot of game companies impacted, particularly if they are under the umbrella of some larger places like Microsoft. But we'll see. I think 2025 is going to be it's already off to a rough start for the games industry. A lot of AAA studios are coming out with stuff where people have made it very clear that they are severely uninterested in buying it. And because they've bloated up their headcount numbers after the pandemic, they can't afford to lose sales. We'll see how things go throughout the year. I'm particularly excited about the Assassin's Creed launch in February. I'm gonna love watching videos from places like Asmongold on that. It's gonna be great. But the new year here, I hope you all are gonna have a wonderful new year. I wish you all the best. I'm gonna do my best this year to return to the land of the employed. Hoping as places open back up next week, I should get some messages back from various recruiters or so forth there to see if I can get some interviews scheduled. And yeah, that's about it for today. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of disasters happen in my industry as time goes on, and we'll talk about it. But thank you for your time and stopping by. If you're not subscribed and you're interested in other games related content, feel free to subscribe. And in general, I wish you all a good rest of your day, your night, whatever it may be. And farewell.